Let's take a look at this course designed by Steve Schwartz over at Agility Nerd. It's taken from the IFCS Biathlon event from this past year. Let's take a look at the opening. Anytime there's a way to set up dogs anywhere on the start line that gives you a nice straight line, I like to take advantage of that. So I would line my dog up in such a way that they could see 1 and 2 in a straight line as we head in for this 270. Obviously you can handle it from either side. Your goal here, I think, is once your dog comes through to get them in a nice straight line toward the tunnel. What we want to avoid on this 270 is having your dog take a swooping path, either because they're drawn to this or because your execution is late, or that you're worried about the off-course tunnel here, so you're intentionally swinging them wide around your body. So once we get the nice line here, another line to the tunnel, you can see that once they come out of the tunnel, we need a direction change because we've got to get them to the backside of this jump here. And so you can do this a couple different ways, but I think most people are going to opt for a front cross somewhere in between these two jumps. So as your dog comes out here, people are going to front cross and then handle the 270. At this point here, you have a push through to send your dog to another backside this way. So again, if you think in terms of direction change, here's a change, and then you need to send your dog out. Because if you do not put in this last direction change, and you try and shoot it as a straight line, you see that your dog is going to take 7 the wrong way. So whatever handling system you use, you'll need to change your dog's direction to get them to the backside of 7. Once they come around 7, see they've got a nice line to 8. But of course, if they continued on, they would miss the turn to 9. So what we have here is a nice turn to 9. And you can do that with a simple shoulder pull. And I really want to control the turn here at number 9. This spot here is a classic setup to drive a dog very long and take a wide turn instead of a nice sharp turn. And there's a couple of reasons why. The big one is the distance. So if you take a look at the distance here between 8 and 9, you see that it's pretty big. And so as handlers drive and start to peel off to handle the next 270 challenge, their dogs will often be thrown over number 9 in full extension, giving you a bad turn here. Alright, once you've navigated over 9, you're headed toward 10, we come to an interesting part of the course. If you've got a nice tight turning small dog, they can take this 270 and find themselves in the correct line to take 11 the correct way. But if you've got a large dog, you'll find that they land more realistically over here rather than over here, which is where some of the little dogs are going to land. So you see the little dog, we'll put their path in red. They have a nice straight shot to 11, but you see the big dog, and we'll put them in blue, can be in a position where they run by 11, and on the jump cue we'll take the backside, the wrong side of 11 that we want. So this is one of those, it depends on your dog, how big they are, what height they're jumping, and where they land. But you may need an additional maneuver here that a little dog may not need. So something right in here. Perhaps a reverse flow pivot, a threat alarm, a hard call, Alright, once we've got your dog over 11, we want to get a nice tight turn here. Again, very important to control the turn at 11 because of the off-course trap over here. So if you execute a late front cross and your dog goes long, you're going to get a really wide turn. And since you have to come back to take 12 this way, you're going to lose a lot of time. So you need to control this turn here at 12. I'm sorry, 11. And once you've landed this way, I think you can get your dog out to 12. Again, a large dog might have the same issue where if they travel a little bit long and their landing spot is not so good, say it's over here, you can see that there's no reasonable way for the dog to take 12 in a straight line. So you're going to have to do it in two parts, 1 and 2. This course I think was more challenging for the very large dogs, 22 inches or taller at the shoulder, jumping 26-inch height. Alright, so once your dog is coming over this jump, generally they're headed toward the tunnel. So you need something to cue them, to turn them, to get them off the tunnel. Usually a simple shoulder turn is good enough. Occasionally a dog would be headed for this one. A handler would use a shoulder turn or a call, they would say come or the dog's name, and then the dog would assume it was the other tunnel entrance and still turn very, very wide here. So you want to avoid that as much as you can, again by controlling the turn at 12. So this might be another good spot to use deceleration or another maneuver to get a tight turn. Once your dog is headed this way over 3, again if you look at it in terms of lines, 13 I should say, they've got a straight shot to 14, and 14 with the spacing and a nice off-course trap over here is another place, because the handler is trying to run into this gap here, into the box, that a lot of dogs turn wide. And a lot of handlers opted to try front crosses in different places inside this box. And none of them worked particularly well because their dogs were so fast, and most of them were stuck here in order to perform the 270. They didn't really have an independent 270 where they could send the dog and themselves take a line. Let me give the handler path over here in yellow, where they could stay ahead of their dog. Instead they kind of had to go with their dog all the way to the wing, and then they just didn't have enough of a distance advantage to really make the front cross in this box. So what you got was a lot of wide turns here after 14, back to 15, which of course creates a bad line back to 16. So the best solution we found was for the handler to rear cross. So as the dog comes this way, the handler is going to decelerate here and then rear cross the dog. So the dog's going to head this way, handler's going to come behind the dog. So you got a line here, and the rear cross creates the turn to 16. And once again, you've got another jump where you desperately need to control it because a wide turn is going to take you around the wrong end of the final jump. We've got to come through the gap in this way. So by controlling the turn, you can get a very nice approach to the final obstacle. So this, and this. For most of our dogs, even these small 12-inch dogs, there's no possible way to take this jump. You see, as I move this blue line, there's no real possible slice. So you had to do it in two parts. You got to pull the dog into the gap and then redirect them over this jump.